Hi girls, today we're looking at mental rehearsal. Involved within sports psychology, our learning goal is to understand mental rehearsal techniques used to enhance performance in sport. So what is mental rehearsal? Mental rehearsal is picturing your physical performance in your mind. What you rehearse must be successful. Obviously, if you rehearse something that's incorrect, you're not going to perform it correctly. And these actions and settings must be realistic. So it must be in a complex environment. So for example, if you're rehearsing the volleyball serve, you need to rehearse it with complex environments, so with opposition. There are two main techniques of mental rehearsal. One is in imagery and two is centering. The importance of a mental rehearsal, I always use Matthew Hayden. He was a former opening batsman for Australia, and every single match he used a pre-match mental rehearsal during the 2003 World Cup, where he sat at the end of the pitch for up to 20 minutes prior to the match, visualising what he could expect from the different types of bowlers that he faced and how he could respond to those bowlers. He obviously did that to ensure that he was not only technically prepared, but also mentally. So imagery is one of the most important psychological skills. It's using all the senses to recreate or create an experience in the mind. Okay, so you're using your senses to create an experience in the mind, and that might be of the volleyball serve. Imagery is based on the idea that an image can be created in the mind without an external stimulus. So imagery is based on the idea that an image can be created in the mind without an external stimulus. So you don't need something to create an image in your own mind. The image may involve one or more senses. So think about your 5 senses. You could involve 1, 2, 3, or all of them if you need to. And an image is created from information, then stored as memory. And that's why it's really, really important that you must be mentally rehearsing the correct image. So viewing images, there are 2 ways of viewing the image. You can view it internally and externally. Think about the volleyball unit last year, term 1, remembering that a cognitive player could not identify their own errors. So perhaps viewing images internally, they may not be able to do. However, they might prefer more external images, such as viewing a video performance. So the internal view sees the performance from the athlete's eyes through your 5 senses. So, you might be actually being in the race and visualizing the race itself, or like Tiger Woods. Okay, so he's obviously lining up for a putt and he's visualizing the flight path of the ball. External, so the external perspective sees the athlete through viewing a video of himself in performance. And as I said, that's probably more beneficial for a cognitive player. They probably cannot internally view their own performance. Second technique is centering. So centering is a simple behavior technique that athletes can use to control their stress, their tension in their muscles, and block out any negativity or distracting thoughts. Perfect example is a huge crowd, and they use centering to refocus their attention on the task. So it involves taking a slow, deep breath while focusing on something that is involved within your routine. I think I've used this in class. So football players, before they kick for goal or whatever, they might pull their socks up, pull them down, or some footballers put their mouth guard in their socks, might tie up their shoelace. If you're playing tennis, you might adjust your racket. Volleyball serve, you might have a routine where, to center yourself, to relax yourself, calm down, you might bounce the ball a few times or spin it to yourself, etc. So centering strategies, some sort of relaxation technique, so some cue words. So you might involve some self-talk, to calm yourself down. Breathing techniques, really, really important. A lot of professional teams do bring people in to teach them different breathing techniques, especially in a highly complex and stressful environment. Again, I use that example of a state of origin environment. and routines. So your pre-game, your during, your after. I know I showed Rafael Nadal in class, probably over the top routines, but they work for him in calming him down. So here's an example of centering. You don't need the volume up for this. So with Jamie Soward's goal kick, you could see that he didn't just line the ball up and kick it. He has that strange routine, but he would kick that goal and use that routine every single time. That's his routine to calm himself down. I hope you noticed that he took a really deep breath before he approached the ball. So his technique involved some breathing, some heavy breathing, and also some set routine to center his thoughts, to calm him down, especially if it was a high pressure kick. So what I'd like you to do for homework is just to think about a couple of questions, and we'll discuss these in class. Which mental rehearsal techniques do you think are most beneficial to athletes? I want you to think about yourself as a volleyball player as well. Would you, and your stage of learning, would you be more equipped to utilize internal mental rehearsal techniques or external mental rehearsal techniques, and be able to justify why? How would you apply imagery and centering to a specific volleyball skill or gameplay?